Welcome to the Vibrant Living Network. Have you ever wondered what is possible beyond possible? What is the thing you've been wondering and inquiring about? Are you just feeling stuck and don't know why? Are you thinking or are you seeing? Seeing allows us to expand and have this other experience. We want to invite you for that wake-up call. We want to invite your spirit, your soul, so to be more alive, more connected. Glenn Brooks has been a life coach for over 33 years, author of Divorced to Patterns, Not Each Other, an explorer of what is possible. He has worked with people all around the world. Join us for a wake-up conversation, a dialogue with you. We will have some of the most interesting contributors. We will be talking to some of the most interesting people and have some of the most resourceful teachers, wisdom-filled people from around the world join us. Share your voice, ask the questions, become free of the known into a new world of possibility. We are going to talk about all the things you wonder about: how to live, how to heal, how to connect, how to love, how to be seen. Your life is precious. Enjoy it.
Hello, I'm Glenn Brooks. Pleasure being with you. Welcome to the Vibrant Living Network. I want to introduce Lisa LaRose, my executive producer and executive friend and family member. Welcome, Lisa. Cherie Marquez. You're welcome.
Marquez.
Cherie Marquez. I'm Marquez. Okay, everybody can say Marquez. I'll write on the blackboard 50 times. I'll write Marquez on the blackboard later when I finish my other detention work. Welcome. The dog mystic, Janet Carafa. I am the life coach at Janet Center in Kauai. I want to welcome vibrant Kauai people, vibrant LA people, vibrant New York, vibrant Portland, Oregon. And I want to welcome Gayle Randall, who's been, I do ceremony every day with Gayle. So, there's this idea of at-one-ment, the at-one-ment. That's the moment they talk about in all the mystical, all the traditions talk about a moment when your personality drops away and your identity drops away, and you just feel at one. So I have that experience, with all of you. But I could say that on a daily basis, Monteley Gayle Randall, my ceremonial partner, I so appreciate her. She's the only doctor I've ever met that fulfilled the promise of your doctor being the idea of physician heal thyself. She's one of the most vulnerable, amazing scientists and innovators in this field that some people call holistic, but to really live the holistic lifestyle is to be as vulnerable and acknowledging about your own process. And I just revere that about Monteley Gayle Randall. I want to welcome you, Gayle.
Thank you.
Yeah. I want to say that I've been a coach. It says 33 and a half years. It's actually 38 years I've been a coach. And I want to say the toughest thing is that when I do something and I don't do it well, people remind me, and I always want to say to them, I teach what I need to learn. I teach what I need to learn. I'm not 100%. I go through low moods. I miss things. And it's one of the beautiful lessons that we could learn is to grace each other and to kind of grace ourselves as we transition from a life full of thought viruses, things like this flu season coming, you'll always be like that, you'll never change. It's a thought virus. To a life of relational awakeness where you kind of could see past a person beyond their script. Now, we're going to do something kind of unusual today, something I think it's a lot of fun. I've had two of my greatest mentors ever. One of them, Eric Morris, he's at a doctor's appointment, believe it. I wanted to ask you if you could see him for his annual skin dermatology appointment because I miss him so much. He left a message the other day. I met Eric Morris 22 years ago, and the first conversation I said, Eric, I read No More Acting, Please, and because I could never understand acting. Acting seemed like a total burden to acting. And when I read the book, it was like, oh, my God, this is what I always sensed in my heart acting was about, to embody the feeling and the wonder of the character. And I called up Eric. I said, Eric, I've never read anything like your book. I get it so deeply. Can I work with you forever, and would you be my inside acting teacher? His response is, here's my home number. Here's my cell phone number, yes. And we've been close for the last 22 years. I'm so psyched to have you guys meet Eric. And and I want to say I heard back from Dr. Who's my best friend? Who I look, Dr. Norm Shealy. Thank you. I did take ginkgo this morning, by the way. I did take ginkgo, so that was the ginkgo didn't get to the right side of the lobe yet. I don't know. So okay, so this is what we do. So we're bringing a Vibrant Speakers Summit to Vermont, a Vibrant Speakers Summit to Burlington, Vermont. I have the total support right now of the Tourism Bureau and Tom, and he's been wonderful. So a lot of you guys might wonder, how do I help speakers become vibrant speakers? I've been doing this for a long time. And I thought today, since Cherie's the dog mystic, I actually asked Eric to be in on this. And I was thinking you would be very brave to be in on this with Eric. He's very strong, but he's very kind. So I asked Eric in the next session to be in on our panel. So the way this is going to work, and I welcome Janet Carafa. Did I welcome you, Janet? Welcome, Janet.
Yeah, you did, but this is
okay. It was a double welcome.
To hear more about Eric, because mime and acting are the same core. It comes from the same. It's all the same, but yeah.
Right. So, by the way, it's always helpful to. They call that the perennial philosophy. The perennial philosophy is the essence of all traditions, of all the mystery schools. You know, if you go to Islam, if you go to Sufism, you know, all the Kabbalah, right? You might use different language, but it's really the one. So, Janet, I'm going to give you the opportunity to be the vibrant writer you are, because I'm also going to tell people about our next Vibrant Speakers Summit, and I'm going to use Cherie today as the dog mystic, because I help people develop 20-minute talks that are life transforming. So I thought we could start with you guys, and you guys will be the inside. You'll cover her back, cover our nervous system. And I said to Cherie the other day, I said, you know, the thing about when we answer people want an answer. I was saying to Cherie that some of those powerful things we could actually share with people is something that makes them curious. Because sometimes what they're asking it might not be 100% what they're asking. So I said to Cherie, I said, if you got people curious, as an example, that when you're with a dog and the dog's coming towards you, if you notice your own breath, pause, felt your chest, felt your stomach, and you notice the dog, you'd have a different relationship to the dog. Right? Because what happens when we disconnect and we get scared, we get disconnected. Same thing with that's how a lot of human beings miss each other. If we could change one thing about human beings today, just one thing, that would be really their nervous system. Because if you're interacting with people in that leisurely state, in their parasympathetic nervous system, in that deeper system, you'd have a different experience of them. That's why, as an example, I'm an improv artist, and that's why I'm married to Janet. See, I'm married to the world of mime. I didn't realize how deeply it was until I met Janet, but I realized that what I love to do is play with people till they come to this other place. Because we can only walk around in two states. We got our counterfeit self and our vibrant self. Our vibrant self is actually in vibrant relationship with other human beings. There's a relationship. And so when we become more vibrant, then we become more at one. And we become more strained, we kind of see, we can only see the separation. All right, so Cherie, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to describe what a weekend's like, and you're going to be the featured speaker at the weekend. You're going to be one of the featured speakers, Cherie. So the Vibrant Speakers Summit.
Sounds good.
All right, so there's three things that regularly transform our life. So it happens that the three things are also the three things that actually help people 70 plus live a different quality of life. This was researched in Israel. They did a study on this, a very highly funded study. So I'll tell you the three things, and these are the three things at the Vibrant Speaker Summit. So one would be relationalness. Socialness and relationalness. Your experience of social value, you could say spiritual value, emotional value, that is an example. The way that people perceive you, if you perceive someone perceiving you at high worth, it transforms you, right? My first experience of this was with a professor, Kevin Foley. I went to do a hands-on healing workshop when I was 18 with Kevin. And I left the room, and Kevin said, would you bring me this book? It was a book he wants me to get him. And I said, yes. And he says, of course, your word is as good as gold. And I stopped, and I stood there for a second. I realized no one had ever said that to me, ever. So my social value went up. It was like in my mind. I never heard that before, ever. So our experience of social worth, relationalness. any of you that are struggling, anybody who's an entrepreneur, you're trying to put out a message, the times when you feel socially isolated or you feel disconnected are the times when you don't feel you can go to the next level, right? So that sense of union and social worth, we go into a lot at the, we don't just have talks. We have ongoing classes where you can experience this stuff. We talk about the profound value of real food. We have chefs come. And movement. Of course, movement transforms our brain on a regular basis. There's no one I know who knows more about the brain than Dr. Randall. So the brain is transformed by many things. So you get into the brain. How to have a new brain. How to have a brain that's a different brain than the one you have. Nutritionally, with your oxygen, with your ability to breathe differently. And of course, the dog mystics is teaching you to bridge the gap with the animal world. So we're going to do this as a panel. This is a panel. We're all in the same dojo. And I'll start with Lisa first. I'll just throw this to Lisa first. So today we're gonna hold this event in Burlington, one of the most green, pure cities in the country. It's absolutely stunning in Burlington, and they're so happy to have us. And you're all going to be there, and the dog mystic's going to be there. So what's the first thing you're curious about? You've interacted with Cherie a number of times, Lisa, and you're an appreciator. What's the first thing when you see her name in the program guide, that she's a dog mystic, and she's going to share the lessons, how to be in deep harmony with your dog, how to have this kinship that you never learned before. How do you have deep kinship with your dog? What's the first question you want to ask her? What's the first question you have for Cherie in terms of her talk?
Well, Cherie, it's interesting because I think when somebody comes into your field of information and you have brought so much wisdom over the last few weeks, is just really connecting with the dog on an intuitive level, that sometimes I feel that things are brought to me as examples. And so last evening I was able to interact with a dog that was deaf and blind in one eye. And the owner said to me, well, I don't know what I'm going to do if the dog loses the sight in the other eye. And that's when I brought up your name. And I said, well, it's interesting that you say that because I've had the good fortune to connect with the dog mystic, Cherie Marquez. And I started to share with her some of the things. And I also explained, that you have some wonderful videos and tutorials. But I guess that would be my question then. So when somebody has a dog that's challenged with the other senses, how do you get them as an owner to tune in so that they can develop their own intuition, ability to communicate with a dog that may be physically challenged?
Well, good question for sure. And thank you for this opportunity. And the amazing thing with dogs that do have a disability, all of their senses are so much more amplified than ours. So even if they don't have their sense, even if they don't have their hearing, then all of their other senses are even more amplified. And luckily the fact that the dog has at least one eye that he can see out of, then it's important to teach the owner. It's all about. The leash is extremely important, but it's all about the touch, and touching, let's say, like the side of the face, to have that one eye directly focused on the person. So then they can build that trust of what the owner wants the dog to do, and teach the dog as much as possible that way, just in case the other eye starts not working. So it's more or less just teaching the person to connect on an even deeper level just by getting on the floor and, and rubbing and touching and eye gazing, and just deepen that bond, even more, like, and then like, because they're, I would say that the, even if the other eye does go, then the senses, the outer senses, and the touch and the smell, and just the awesome knowingness of what the owner wants. But once they deepen that bond, then just by having the owner having the leash on, just by touch of like what the owner wants the dog to do, or what the owner is cautioning the dog to, let's say, be careful of something, then that bond will be so much more intense than it is right now.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, and I think a lot of humans could learn to do that as well. Get on the floor and look and gaze into each other's eyes, and it's that kinship that Glenn talks about that you're so eloquent with, Cherie. And being able to really bring forth that connection of really seeing and knowing from the heart. So thank you for that.
I want to say hello to Rhonda and Tony at the Randall Health Center, our family there. I've had the honor of speaking to them, Gayle, and thinking about Vibrant LA as I heard another message from Eric. And yes, Lisa, as soon as I can, I do my best to gaze with people and to breathe with them, because our breath with someone is our ohana, a family that breathes together. So Gayle, I thought I would thank you, Lisa, and thank you, Cherie. So I also want to say the environment, when we do these wonderful speaking, they're more than speaking. They're actually communal. People share. The hallways, I'm doing another series called The Power of a Third Space, The Power of a Third Space, the wonder of a space that is different than home or work. One of those powerful spaces you have are hallways, those places where you interact and you have a moment. They're magical spaces, and you could discover a lot. I like your question, Lisa. Interesting question. So, Gayle, what are you going to ask our speaker here? What are you going to ask our and by the way, I know that what I love about asking you this is on a daily basis, well, on the most personal, intimate, honoring level of wonder, we do this together, which has transformed my life again and again and again. It's not a one-time prayer. It's a regular prayer. But what would you want to say? We're setting Cherie up as the dog mystic. So what would you want to ask her, or what are you curious about as a speaker, or what would you want to comment? I'm curious from your end of the universe, because I see you as an empath for all species. That's part of who you are. What would you want to share, or what comes to your mind about Cherie being the dog mystic, and anything you want to share about anything on that topic yourself?
Okay, yeah, absolutely. First of all,
it was a wide open question.
I want to thank her for her response, because, especially the part about, dogs having, almost like a sixth sense or other senses. So even if they lose their sight and their hearing, they still can be there for us. And, if we're there for them. And at least that's what I heard you say. And thank you for that. Yeah. I mean, I had a little dog that spent, I think I shared this with you before, but she was with me for 19 years, which is amazing.
Yes,
and
that is beautiful.
She did go blind. She went blind and she went deaf, but she was still right there. We were still, totally connected, and she could come to me even though she couldn't hear me. She knew where I was. You say like smell. They still have their smell, but they still have their sixth sense and their other senses, and they're so like psychic in a way that she would still follow me around and. Every once in a while she'd bump into something, but she was. So thank you for that. But what I would ask you is maybe on the other end of the subject, so let's say someone adopts a dog, and the dog is like hyper, or, like the opposite of being mellow in no senses, but like hypersensitive, then how do we connect with that dog and calm down their sympathetic nervous system, if you will, and go to optimal connection with that kind of a situation?
Well, I mean, there's so many different scenarios, so many different situations that that can be done. But I mean, like, let's say if a dog is super fearful, they've been abused, they were found on the streets, and they have a fear aggression. More or less, it would be to first create like a bond and like a special place for the dog to make them feel safe, or as safe as possible, because it does definitely take a long time, but like it takes longer than just adopting a regular dog that's happy-go-lucky and no issues. So it takes a while, but as I always keep on saying, the leash is your tool, because as long as you have, like, for example, I have a dog right now, pretty much that I'm fostering. It's a little Chihuahua, actually a medium-sized Chihuahua, but and she was found on the streets of Miami, and she's been extremely aggressive. She's been with the same foster mom for a year, and I did the training. I did the boot camp training where I take the dog out of the environment and into the facility, and socializing with the other dogs, and socializing with a whole bunch of people that work at the facility. And within those 2 weeks, she opened up like tremendously. I mean, like, she was learning to be a dog. She was playing with the other dogs. She was running around and doing things that she wasn't normally used to doing. And the woman who's been fostering her, she's given her an amazing life. She totally trusts. Her name is Honeybell. So Honeybell totally trusts her. And she can do anything. She can touch her. She can put her hands in her mouth. She can do so much. But it's all about the extra socializing. So by having the leash, and like once I really started the training, and the reason why I have her in my house right now is because even though we did the 2 weeks of training, she totally transformed. She went back into the foster home, but because there was no follow-up lessons afterwards, she has like totally regressed back into her shell and being aggressive and everything. So pretty much I'm finding her forever home, and for the first 2 weeks she's been on the leash and with us, and just like, because we're like my boyfriend Brian and I were able to communicate with her through the leash. So our calm, assertive energy is more or less just allowing her to realize that she's safe, and if she's aggressive, then we're able to correct the aggression, because she's acting aggressive for no reason. I mean, like, if another dog is walking past her, there's no reason why she needs to be growling or showing her teeth, or growling and trying to bite anybody that walks into the house. So just by keeping the leash on her is just teaching her right from wrong, and taking her out, taking her to Pet Supermarket, to Home Depot, and desensitizing her from everything that she's fearful of, to show her that, all right, there's noises, there's people, but you just got to get used to it, because this is life. So, so
listen, I want to mention before. Go ahead, Cherie.
Thank you very much.
I just want to quick shout out. In Hadley, Massachusetts, there's a 100-pound golden, beautiful dog. I've seen a picture of it. He's been missing the last 2 weeks. There's a reward. Tanner's the dog's name. Tanner's. If you get in touch with me, if you've seen Tanner, heard about him, that I talked to the dad, and the children really miss him. And the situation with him is he has an invisible fence. He's actually never done this before. He's 3.5 years old. But I wanted to mention Tanner. And I want to say last night I hung out with Bear. Bear's a half husky, half retriever. That was one of the most remarkable experiences I've had in years. That dog is just, I don't know what to say. The dog was teaching me emotional intelligence, paw by paw. I would put my hand down, he would put his paw on my paw, and I thought, wow, he's teaching me his whole nervous system right here in this little dance we have going. And talk about what it being a good yazer. So I met Bear's mommy, and his mommy is writing a book on the healing power of Bear. So that was something I did last night. If you have something, a story or something you're interested, or you want to ask a question to this dog mystic, I want to invite you guys to kind of touch base with me. I'm going to give you my email in a moment, and stay with us. I'm on my way to Bless Fest. I'm on the way to Bless Fest. I'll tell you guys about that. I'm going to tell you about my favorite marketplace that I eat at when I have people come here to visit me before I take them to the sacred mountaintop. Stay with us. To the Vibrant Living Network. Call in. We're going to have call in. Sure. We're going to open up the phone lines when we continue. Stay with us. I like to say
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Conflict comes in many forms and often triggers a fight-or-flight response. Some of us gravitate toward conflict, while many will stop at little to nothing to avoid it. Unfortunately, what we resist will persist, which often forces us to face our fear and deal with it head-on. Join me during my show, Conflict Rising, as I discuss the important role of conflict with leaders who have moved through it successfully. Tune in Thursdays at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember, it's always darkest before the dawn.
Opiates has taken everything and everyone I've ever loved away from me. Everything.
I blew my ankle out and I got prescribed pain pills by my doctor.
If making my detox public is going to help somebody, I'm all for it. So I just wish I would have had a warning.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth. A message from Truth, the Ad Council, and ONDCP.
Hi, you're listening to the Vibrant Living Network. I'm Glenn Brooks. More than listening, I love when you guys engage, ask questions. All right here. There are 100 ways to kneel and kiss the ground, Rumi. Pick one today and share it with us. Along with Dr. Gayle Randall, Monalay Randall, Lisa LaRose, Jenna Carafa, Cherie Marquez, who I knew you had last name for like many months, and I just lost it. What a moment. You know what I do with my speakers? I ask all my speakers to write their most embarrassing scenario and then play it out for us. It's called Saturday Night Live. It's one of the most fun things, by the way. You get to play everything that embarrasses you about what could go wrong, and we just play it out for each other. It's incredible fun. So all that tension and fear, you just play it out. I think we have Pete Silvan. You there, Pete? Pete? Not yet? Okay. Pete owns the Cushman Marketplace. So when people come to visit me to hula hoop, and I wish everybody hula hooping because it reminds me to hula hoop. You know, in the old days there was a show called The Outer Limits. And in the beginning it would show the whole show, the lines going horizontal. And you knew something was wrong with the horizontalness. So freedom is going into the vertical, right? The vertical path. You start to see. So I would bring people to the mountain. Lisa came to the mountain. So Cushman's is a place I would bring people to. It's a little marketplace, beautiful little common, homemade kind of food. The last woman who came to see me she brought the remains of her son. Her son passed away at the Mayo Clinic, and she put her remains. There's a waterfall there, And it was just, you know, I want to say this whole thing about coaching and what I do in my life, it's just like every day is so different. It's like re-seeing on a regular basis. And then in my work with my deep, incredible play and awareness with Dr. Randall, I re-see every day. It's funny you guys talk about eyes today. What a lesson. Eyes and seeing, huh, Gayle? It's funny how these things come up. Cosmic things, huh? Eyes and seeing came up today. Eyes and seeing.
But Glenn, you know, the gift in that is that you may not have connected with Gayle in as timely a fashion, or some of the other amazing people that you've been sharing with the audience, which is really wonderful. I wanted just to give out the number if you want to call in.
Thank you.
It's area code 202-570-7057. Again, it's area code 202-570-7057.
Thank you, Lisa. We're talking about upcoming event.
I just want to thank everybody. If it's okay, I'm going to have to aloha off.
Oh, Janet, I forgot you. I didn't know. Oh, dang.
That's okay.
Next week, I want to write you a permission note that you could stay longer. I miss you now because you didn't really share today.
Yes. I got so much out of this. Thank you, everybody. And the touch with the leash. And so if you put, and I've been discovering this as I'm teaching yoga, if you put your hands together in the prayer, right, and then go into a posture, or you're just doing a standing posture, but your hands are in prayer. A lot of times it's just physical. But then if you actually sense the skin touching itself, touching each other's palms, your own palms and fingers, it takes it to a different sensory place. And the same thing, so you shift your focus. And that must be what happens with the leash. And the same thing with you. At the same time, you take your awareness to the soles of your feet, the skin on the soles of your feet, whether they're in shoes or not. And you just feel the bottom of whatever it's against. And so you have that sensory. So that connection is very powerful when we bring the awareness to that. And that's what you reminded me of here with the leash and the touch and the connection. Yeah. So aloha, everybody. I can't wait till next week.
Janet, give us your retreat dates again. Can you give us the retreat dates again?
Yes, there is still space, and the retreat dates are August 22nd to 29th. So just before September, it's a perfect time to come to Kauai as well, because it's not that expensive, the flight. And it's going to be outrageously magical, and we're going to touch our palms together and feel everything and share. And
love that. You know, I got that too. I got that the leash was the connection. I mean, I totally got that. Thank you, Cherie. Yeah, and thank you, Janet. Yeah.
Call me later. The vibrant writer. Call me later. Love you a lot, Janet. Thank you.
Okay, and
thank
go
you
on
so
my
much.
website
Aloha.
to sign
up. Tell people the name of the retreat. Tell people the name of the retreat, Janet.
Go on Hot Yoga Princeville, PRINCEVILLE.com and /retreats. So just go to the retreat page. Okay. Aloha, everybody.
Aloha, Janet. Call me later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
So right as I began the show today, my daughter's an actress, and she just shot a promotion or a pilot called I Love Leisha. And she sent it to me a few months ago. But she called to let me know she spent last night with Eric Morris, my super duper mentor.
Oh,
so I'm going to see if I could. I'm so psyched. It was sort of like I was waiting for her to come together with Eric for months, and she left me a message like a minute till, and thank you, Lisa, for your reminder. I always think that real truth is a living truth. It's not something thank you. Thank you, because what do they say in the Gurdjieff work? That self-remembrance is the whole deal. To become aware you're not aware. So I thought it was funny, though. I feel like the eye meditation continues. The eye meditation.
So, creating new vision, new vision, new ways of thinking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to call Eric on the break, by the way. I'm going to see if I can get Eric to come on in the second half with Dr. Gloria Kay. So I'm going to say a word more about the Vibrant Speakers Summit coming to Burlington. So Burlington is one of those magical places I've been to. I put many retreats together in Vermont. Vermont with the Green Mountains is a place where many people, just being there is this Vermont experience. And the Vermont experience, no one could quite describe it. I think that what I heard once with one listener was just listening to our Vibrant Travel segment, our Vibrant Retreat segment, people could breathe the air. It's really, you kind of go to Vermont and you kind of make this agreement that life has the goodness of the Vermont mountains, and you could stop. And there's a vibe in Vermont. So we're going to be in Burlington with a whole Vibrant Summit speaker team. We all stand, we root for each other. We have Saturday Night Live, so if you ever want to see people play out their worst fears of public speaking, it's a 5-minute. We give people 5 minutes each. Oh, by the way, if you're ever nervous around speaking, I want to give you the tip of the day. Here's the tip of the day. If you're ever nervous around speaking, allow yourself to really be nervous. If you're shaking, see if you can shake your hands more. So the more that we allow the sensation the more that we become conscious of the sensation, the more we can allow it to move through ourselves. And we can allow that vibrancy. Oh, boy. I love Janet so much. The first time I met Janet in person, we performed together at a theater in Massachusetts. And it was so the first time I ever interacted, we were doing this mind piece called The Invisible Wall. And the whole piece is about that we live our lives feeling there's an invisible wall or barrier between us and everything. The jobs we want, the people we love. So we kind of feel this barrier. So this piece is Janet walks up to me, and she is a world-class mime. Janet is she's so understated. She's out of this world. And she comes over to me, and she's basically cueing me non-verbally to feel the invisible wall. So I'm really letting myself drop in and feel this wall. Like, feel the wall right now. You can imagine feeling this wall. And then as a team, we need to go beyond that wall to connection, to oneness, to being in life together. And it was one of the most powerful pieces. And she's never going to say this about herself, but she is one of the most high-paid speakers in this world. Like they pay her to come to business conferences, and literally, when she turns into the mime, she can invite you into another whole world you didn't know existed and bring you there. So I just love Janet a lot. We're very, very close, and we crack each other up a lot. And she says to me, she says, "Glenn, you know mime, you speak in the invisible." So acknowledge to Janet. We got with dates coming up for the Vibrant Speakers Summit. I think what we're going to do is I'm going to see if I could grab Eric and see if he can come on in the beginning of the first half of our next. So our next segment is called, by the way, Mastering Miracles. Let's do this. Since I want to warm up for Mastering Miracles. Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much, Chris. So, Pete, I was just telling you the most amazing story. Pete from Cushman's Marketplace in North Amherst is one of the most magical places that I go to. I live in Amherst, Massachusetts. First of all, welcome, Pete.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Wonderful being at the marketplace this morning. I love the what we call them. I guess the servers were just so wonderful to me.
Yeah.
Just wonderful.
We got great people.
So I was just telling the audience, Pete, that when people come to see me for consultations or coaching, I always bring them to Mount Toby. And I do. I had actually a woman come recently, and she left. She put the remains of her son, his ashes, in the waterfall.
Wow.
So I always stop at Cushman's. To me, it's the most magical place. You're right by some of the most beautiful trails and water, and Puffer's Pond, and it's an absolute gorgeous place. So I want to say, I love being there this morning. What do you want to share? What do you want to? And first of all, thank you for being our inside partner in relation to Bless Fest. I'm on the way to Bless Fest as soon as I leave the airways today over at Hampshire College, where they're going to be spending the next 4 days on storytelling, dancing, ceremonies to put you in touch with the blessed we often forget about, because we get caught up in daily activities. And I know your people over there know about Bless Fest. What's something else you want to share about What's something you want to share about Cushman? I know you guys are very. It's just a way of life over there. People come there. You got the music on the weekends. What would you want to share?
Well, I mean, it's just I would just say that it's a kind of place that it's very comfortable for people to be in. We're all close. All the people that work here, kind of a tight knit group, and very friendly and accommodating, and then and that's reflected in everything I think we do, in the food and the ambiance. Yeah, we have like really nice outdoor patio to hang out in. With people bring their dogs there and take a and then go for a hike nearby, and it's just kind of a vibe that we try to. That it's who we are, so I think it projects to the customers as well. It's just that's
no
kind
question.
of what we're about.
It's a vibrant living kind of place.
Yeah, exactly.
You can quote me on that.
Yeah.
Give out your website, and I'm going to have any team member on the team ask you a question. I don't think any of them have been to Cushman's. This is the magical moment where they could ask you anything. It's open to the whole panel, Pete.
Okay.
Any questions on Cushman's? You haven't been there. What would you like to know about one of the most wonderful places I ever go to? It's in this magical part of Amherst by the mountain I bring people to. Just open question. Anybody curious about Cushman's? You got the owner. He's forward to the vision, this wonderful place. What's your question of curiosity? Open question. They're very excited, Pete. They're just loading up their energy. I could feel it.
They're so excited.
Oh, yeah. They're going to call the rest of the day when we hang up. They go, I wish I asked them this.
Yeah.
Give out your website.
No, I just can't wait to come. I'm far away, but when I come there.
That's by the way,
I want to
Pete,
go for a hike and I want to eat there. Do you serve vegetarian food?
Yeah, we do. We have a vegan menu as well, and gluten-free options, and you can check out the website. It's cushmanmarket.com. And you can kind of get it has some nice photos. You get an idea what the whole story is. It's been around for a long time.
That's great. Awesome.
Thank you for sharing the whole vibe. I'll see you tomorrow with Loretta, and I deeply appreciate. I love being here this morning. I feel very at home, and great connecting with you, by the way, Pete. Thank you.
Cool. Likewise. All right. Well, have a good day, and we'll
you
see
too.
you soon. All right.
I'll come for that large bowl in the morning.
Have fun. Bye, too.
Have fun. Bye.
Have fun. Have a good weekend.
Okay.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love that part of town. The train goes through. It shakes. It almost feels like the house is going to fall down. I stayed in the house right across the street from Cushman's. Yes, I love that reminder. Well, Lisa remind me of. I want to remind myself of every day, and I want you to remind each other that. Yeah, when something disrupts, I don't want to get Gayle. I want to get your comment, because you see people every day that in some cases are in life-threatening situations, or at least. This is an interesting point. They feel threatened, but one of the things you say, one of your mantras, there's always a solution. There's always another. It's such an alchemist thing to say. There's always, for every problem and devastation or perception of anything, even a perceived danger, that the alchemist is a person that's able to turn things into gold or diamonds, right? And to know that when I'm with you, Gayle, that in your heart, I feel it transfers. I know what I wanted to say this morning, that good medicine is a transfer of energy that you could feel in your heart. It's a transfer of energy, right? And I want you to comment about that. Talk about the transfer of energy, because when Lisa brought that up, it had to remind me that, yes, I met you in what looked to be a challenging moment. And what's happened is it's opened up new light. And maybe that's the bigger purpose that we often don't necessarily see in a moment of deep challenge.
Yeah. Well, we actually transmuted it together from a dark moment to a light moment, to a light, life-giving moment, that the eye was really about new vision, new sight, new things, not only for you, but for all the people. So, and it keeps giving. It's a gift that keeps on giving. So that was you, but it happens every day. Miracles happen every day. You just have to be aware of them and be open to it and be vulnerable and transparent, and they can happen. And I used those words this morning to someone that was trying to transmit reams and reams of information to me on social media, actually. Mm-hmm. And
yes.
And I'm not laughing at them because, you know, they feel desperate. And I said, you know, listen, I understand. I would feel the same way. I understand you're desperate, but just understand to every problem there's a solution. But please call my office. Please get on the phone with me at least, because when I'm on the phone or in the presence of someone, I get so much more information than something on a piece of paper or on a computer screen, because it's all the information between the lines that's really the most important. And then we can transmute that energy and that fear into something positive. You know, a story is that, like, years ago, apparently I had seen this woman and I had changed her life, and I had totally forgotten. I don't even remember these things. It just happened, and I move on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I got a guy that came into my office, named is Matt, and he had his own issues, and you know, we removed his fear, and he's doing very well. But he says, look, I want to bring my wife in because I want her to tell you something. I said, sure, of course, always, anything.
Mm-hmm.
So he brought her in. Her name's Kelly, and she said, I just came here to thank you, and I wanted to let you know, did you know you were in Chicken Soup for the Soul? And I said, no, I didn't know that. What do you mean? And she said, well, I brought my mother to you when you were, you know, I'd left UCLA to go open a holistic practice in Malibu. You know, people thought I'd lost it, but, you know, you left your tenured position to do what? There wasn't even a name for, you know, the things I was doing, but, you know, it was integrative medicine and combined with spirit and body, mind. But anyway, her mother had end-stage metastatic breast cancer. And, you know, she had done all the chemo and done all the rest stuff and whatever, but she was in pretty poor shape when I saw her. And I said, listen, I said, you know, I don't know, Kelly's telling me this. She said, you said to her, if there's one thing I can tell you that's going to increase the quality of your life and even maybe prolong it, is fall in love with something. Not necessarily a person, but something. If it is a person, that would work. Or it could be something you've always wanted to do, or it could be painting or your dog or reading. You know, Cherie would agree with that. But so what she always wanted to be a jazz singer. So she became a jazz singer. And so Kelly told me that I gave her mother 16 years of life by telling her that, which changed her life and her husband's life and everybody else's life. And she was just had such a happy life for 16 years being a jazz singer that it was like a miracle, because she wasn't even supposed to survive 6 months.
Wow.
So they happen. Wow. Miracles do happen.
Beautiful. Yes, they definitely do.
Okay, I'm gonna open question. What character in Star Trek, the first series, is Dr. Randall good at imitating? I thought she did an amazing imitation. One of the characters on Star Trek this morning to me at Cushman's Market. I didn't give you due credit. I want to give you due credit. I loved your representation of what character did Dr. Randall do this morning on our wonderful meeting. Cherie and Lisa, this is worth 6 visits to get Randallized at the Randall Health Center. Go ahead. What's your guess?
All right. I'd have to say Spock. I would guess Spock. That would be my guess.
You know,
Spock. Okay. Wow. Good guess. Good guess. That's not the one she did, but that's a dang good guess, though. I like Spock. That would have been, that was good. That was good. She didn't do Spock this morning. I'm waiting for next morning for Spock, actually. All right, Cherie, your turn. You want to get Randallized? Win the question.
Yes.
You got to ask, what does it mean to be Randallized? But go ahead. What's that?
I said, put me on the spot here. I don't know.
I love putting people on the spot with loads of support, though.
What's your guess?
I don't know.
Well, maybe the captain then, if I have a second guess.
You're gonna get a third guess at this point.
Captain. I'm Glenn's captain, so that she gets
partial. You are captain, Dr. Randall.
She's so the captain.
I actually asked Glenn once. I said, you know, he was starting to be, you know, Randallized by me, and then I noticed he was going to all these other practitioners and getting all these herb recommendations and things like that, and I just very kindly asked him. I said, I'd like to apply for the position of being the captain of your boat. And he goes, absolutely yes. Because I didn't want to get too many things on board before we saw what was happening, you know. So, well, the answer is, and that's difficult because I am the doctor, but I imitated the doctor. And the reason why I imitated the doctor was because sometimes people ask me, they will send me, you know, reams and reams of paper and things, and they'll ask me to render them an opinion. And, you know, how I feel about it and how I really know my process is I'm a doctor, but I'm not just a doctor. You know, I'm a healer. And so what I was talking about before, needing to hear all the things in between the lines. So I said to Glenn, I said, you know, I just want to say, you know, like the doctor on Star Trek would say, God damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not an engineer. You know, so I want to say, God damn it, I'm a healer, not a doctor.
I love that's the name of your book, by the way. I love that.
Yeah.
That's the book title.
But I don't usually curse, but I'm only quoting Dr. McCoy, so it's okay.
Exactly. No, it's a legitimate. Those inside Star Trek people would have called them bones, but we don't know. We have Trekkies here, do we? Yeah. We don't know. But Lisa did good with Spock, I thought.
Yeah.
So my direct response.
He doesn't have enough emotion for me, but then he's so highly trained that he just suppresses his emotion, right? Or he can handle it. You know, you talked in the beginning, Glenn, about the process. If you could change something about the human, it'd be the nervous system.
Yeah.
And I mean, I understand what you mean. What you mean, I think, is that we need to, you know, go about the process, not of actually changing it genetically, because that wouldn't be.
Yes.
Because it's actually the process of learning to balance our sympathetic nervous system that makes us an ascended master.
Yes.
So we wouldn't want to change that. We just want to get into the process of it, right?
Yes. To come where we could, I sometimes call this a vertical leap. We could go from one place and go past our world of thinking and feel the sense of ease and wonder and that feel. My teacher, Sid Banks, says he talks about the feel. The feel.
But sometimes it's not a vertical leap. It's a step by step by step by step by step process.
Right. Exactly.
Like hiking up a mountain. Step by step.
It's a practice.
Yeah.
It's a practice.
Yeah.
Practice. Do your spiritual practice, and it will happen.
I'm certainly waiting for the rest of the week because God knows how many other Star Trek characters, are going to be thrown at me this week. So I'm glad I have Spock. I have Spock in the back wing, and if we go to the next generation, we're going to have. I like that. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm a healer. I'm not a doctor. You know, this woman just wrote this book, and one of her big points of the book was that she saw radical healing. This guy had a radical healing. And she said she was sitting with 15 other doctors, and they all denied she had a healing. They said, well, they couldn't explain what happened, but they said the chemotherapy from last year probably kicked in. And she said she sat there, and she said she lied. She said, I agree with that. But she went home and said, no, I can't lie anymore. She goes, that was a miracle, and I can't look at medicine with sunglasses on anymore.
Wow.
Wow.
You know? So I'm gonna do something wild. I'm gonna see if I can get Eric to open the show and put Cherie on the heated spot again. Although this time you'll have a world-class acting So your character. So with character is what we need to feel into and be. So like when Desi Arnaz Jr. played in Mambo Kings, he played his dad. Desi Arnaz Sr. He said he opened the cab doors like his dad. He put down a glass cup like his dad. He tipped the doorman like it. He did everything like he said he loved his dad so much after 3 months of being his dad. The guy that was an alcoholic, the guy that left his mother. You know, when Lucille Ball had her baby, it was kind of like an international big thing because that was during I Love Lucy. And I did this series with him, and that was one of the things he said to me. And I thought, wow, anytime you hate someone, can't stand someone. I was at a seminar one time with Ken Keyes. He wrote a book called I think it was called Unconditional Love was his book. Big, very popular book. And a couple hundred people come to see him. He's in a wheelchair in front of the room, and he says, how many people really want to have unconditional happiness and love as part of their life? Everybody raises their hand. He goes, great. And he had a big box of handcuffs, by the way, on the stage. And I was thinking, what are the handcuffs for? And he goes, what I want you all to do right now, not a second from now, is pick someone you totally hate in the room. When you do, raise your hand. Everybody raised their hand. And he goes, great. He goes, that's who you're going to be handcuffed to the next 10 days. Then he goes, I'll see you guys in the morning. So I thought, wow.
Love it.
Wow. Yeah.
That's a challenge. So that's for sure.
That is a challenge. But the thing is, in the Vibrant Living Challenge, you get a Vibrant Living partner, and when you come to a Vibrant Living Speaker Summit, you get someone to share the experience with. Like, what's challenging you? What's different than what you know? Like, what opens you up? Because we have hallways, wisdom ways, and you're supposed to meet someone. In my book, I say you could be stranging the world or be loving the world. So take moments that are strange and be loved them. And really, that's what happened. As much as I think I'm teaching something, teaching occurs when you, in some sense, have an undefended moment. So I would say another thing with Gayle, there was an amplified deepening of an undefended moment where I had no idea what I was going to do. So when you're standing by a dumpster in a parking lot and you get a call from California by the office director, Tony, and it says Dr. Randall's on the phone, and you don't know what to do, you go right to a dumpster, by the way. If that happens to you guys, you go right to the dumpster and you get ready. You just say yes because there's nothing else to do. I'm giving them preparation for when you call, when they're driving and you call, because it ain't a regular game with you. Oh, my God. We're going into Mastering Miracles with Dr. Gloria Kay, and I'm going to see if I can get stay with us for the Dog Mystic, Lisa LaRose, Dr. Randall, Wonderful Randall, and the Spock Spaceship. Stay with us. Your life precious. Enjoy it.
Feed your soul with Waves of Consciousness on OMTimes Radio.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
I'm Kathy Williams, host of Sexy Mom Abundant Life radio show on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. On the show, we explore living abundantly in every area of your life. Ways to let go of limiting patterns and beliefs and to step into the flow of creativity and possibility, knowing you are supported by the universe.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that our daughters have what they need to grow and learn. But that isn't the case for nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. that struggle with hunger.
Childhood hunger is a heartbreaking reality that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and provides it to families and children in need.
You can help kids in need in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Oh, he did. Okay. Well, we're back with the second half of the show with Dr. Gayle Randall, Cherie Marquez, and welcoming Dr. Gloria Kay. Gloria, are you with us?
I certainly am. Sure. How are you today?
Oh, welcome.
Hello.
Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Gloria. Hi, everyone.
Mm-hmm. It's so nice to have you join us. We're talking a lot about miracles. Or the earlier part of the show, we were talking about the remarkableness of healing, and you have a book that you wrote called Healer's Hand, Healer's Heart, and we've touched in a lot with the connections. I know that Dr. Randall, that what you do is so heart-centered. What you do, Cherie, is also heart-centered. Would you tell us a little bit about what you share in that book, or some of the things that you feel really, touched you and moved you to write that book?
Certainly. Well, I'm very moved by working with children. So I do have a section there in which I describe the healing that I did with a child who had lost her ability to walk, and within a short time she was able to walk. And so a lot of the book has to do with episodes. And one of the things that I did was to have a holistic care home for seniors. It was called Casa Glorieta, and I provided holistic health care and did healings as well. And people prevailed until they were ready to go. It was really interesting. There were very few people who lingered, and when their time was up, they were ready to go. So it was an interesting kind of preparation. I also had a staff that was very committed to helping seniors. Some of them were rather demented. Some of them dealt with incontinence. And I also provided good food. So most care homes don't provide the food that really will nourish the body. So I want to just tell you an interesting aside. So mine was a state-regulated care home, and I had an issue with the state, or the state had an issue with me, because I didn't have enough canned. And I really took exception to that, except that, of course, in case of an emergency, it was necessary to have canned goods. But they were very, very specific about kind of canned foods that I needed. I had to have beef stew and things that I would just never ordinarily serve to anyone. And so that was one episode that kind of tickled me. And
I'm back.
So we managed to make our peace with that. So I
want to welcome Dr. Gloria K. I just had to step away to produce a little bit of a miracle, though, because this program is called Mastering Miracles. Mastering Miracles.
Right.
So what is a miracle?
We were just talking about that in your absence, so welcome back.
All right. Thank you. Well, I want to. Boy, what do I say? What do I say? So I want to begin where I started, where I shared in the last segment, right before I began the program today. My daughter called me, and my daughter calls. It usually melts my heart, and I just feel so moved. And she called and she said, "Dad, I was with Eric Morris last night, and I just wanted to cry. I was so happy because I wanted her to catch up with Eric for several months." And she called to tell me I couldn't call it because I was on the air. By the way, you're listening to the Vibrant Living Network. I'm Glenn Brooks, along with Dr. Gloria K., Dr. Gayle Randall from the Randall LA Health Center, who's going to have the honor of meeting Eric Morris, who's going to join us in a moment, Lisa LaRose. So listen, I just want to say this before I introduce Eric. He's here with us right now. That pretty much my whole life, I loved acting. I loved how it moved me when a character really was the character. And in my own life, I couldn't really stand when people had big acts. So I couldn't understand acting at the level it was described. So when I saw one of Eric's many books, No More Acting, Please, I realized immediately I had this connection with him. I said, you know what, this is going to be my sensei, my teacher. I called him up. I said, Eric, I have this network. Would you be my inside teacher? Would you be my... Really, what I could have said, would you be my uncle forever? I didn't happen to say that, but he did it anyway. And imagine. So I've been coaching 38 years. Eric's been teaching and consulting people and working as an acting teacher for 62 years. His brand new book, all has to do with making the correction so you can live the biggest life you can right now, which I thought was perfect for making and manifesting miracles, because it's a miracle. What's a miracle is that we could step out of our conditioned life, our scripted life, into this other life. So, Eric, I want to deeply and lovingly welcome. And by the way, I especially want to introduce you to Dr. Gayle Randall, who's other than you, Eric, is my second most significant, loving, wonderful family connection in L.A. So, welcome aboard. I want to say welcome, but I want you to say whatever you want to share with people about yourself and your book and anything. So, welcome deeply.
Hi, Eric.
Are you talking?
Pleasure.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Who's speaking? Did you ask?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think Gloria responded. I got my little panel here for you, Eric. I got Dr. Gloria Kay from Santa Barbara. I got Lisa LaRose from Pittsburgh, and of course I got Dr. Gayle Randall. I can't wait for you to meet her. She's been one of the most significant people in my life. She's an MD, a genius around holistic and rejuvenative medicine that we've been speaking every day for the last 2 months, and every day I in my heart I feel who you are, because your welcomes to LA have always touched me so deeply. And now I have someone who's going to I'm going to meet. I know I'm coming to LA now, and I know a part of that is all your encouragement. So I want to welcome you and have you speak right now and share about yourself and what's moving you right now. Welcome. I want to give you the mic. I'm going to pass you the mic. Here you go.
Yeah, I was a little confused.
I confuse people sometimes. You know that.
Yeah, I go back a long way with you. It sounds like you have a very illustrious, wonderful panel today. A lot of very accomplished people dealing with helping and nourishing and nurturing people. So what am I involved in? Well, I just published, I had my 9th book published, and usually I write books about acting. I've been teaching acting for over 60 years. And so this book is not just for actors. A number of years ago, a fairly well-established producer of films and television, we had lunch, maybe 5 years ago. And he had studied with me for a number of years when he was writing and beginning to produce. And he said, Eric, your work is so helpful to people who are not just actors. Why don't you write a book for everybody? I said, I don't know, Scott. His name Scott Steindorf. His name. I said, I don't know. I'm an actor. I'm a director. I'm a teacher. I write books. I never call myself a writer. I write. For me to be able to say I'm a writer, I would have had to walk the walk I walked as an actor, which I didn't. So I write, but that doesn't make you a writer. My books are good to read, and they're helpful, and they're mostly for actors. But this book is for everybody, and it's called A Second Chance at Life. And what the subtitle is Repairing the Damage that We've Experienced in Our Lives. And I have created over a 35 or 40-year period techniques for addressing damaging experiences in our lives which get relegated to the unconscious and keep liberating themselves into our consciousness and making us unhappy and restricting us and keeping us from being able to function, but essentially destroying our abilities, if not destroying, inhibiting our abilities to have a fulfilling, happy life. And the book has got several techniques that deal with how you actually repair that damage so that you reprogram the unconscious memory banks that hold all of those damaging experiences. That's just one of the many techniques in there. So I'm very proud of the book, and I have been talking about it to people. It's being distributed to regular bookstores. It's not just for actors, it is for actors, but actors are people, and it's for everybody in the world. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm still teaching 3 acting classes a week, and that's my story.
Wow, it's a good story. It sounds like this is a book that can be given to elementary school. Like this sounds like the book that you needed to get but didn't.
Well, I'll tell you, when Scott asked me to do it, I said, listen, if I wanted to be a therapist or a psychiatrist or a psychologist, I would have gotten all of those degrees, gotten an office on Bedford Drive in Beverly Hills, and been a therapist. And that's not what I've wanted. I'm an actor. I've directed. Acting is my whole life, and teaching people how not to act and become professional experiencers is my thrust. I've created a system of acting which is complete. Probably since Stanislavski, it's actually the first new system that's come down the pike in the last 100 years. And I say that it sounds egocentric, but it's not. When you tell the truth and you back up the truth with truth, you can say anything, and that's true. Whatever.
I was powerful, Eric. I like how you put that together. Wow, that sounded very powerful.
But it's true. It's like saying, I am a champion skier. I am one of the best skiers in the world. And somebody looks at you and you say, "Oh, you are?" Then you get on the slope and you prove it. You are the best, one of the best skiers in the world. Well, I can prove that I have created a system that is the most complete and new system since Stanislavski in the last 100 years. It's all documented in 9 books, plus all of the people who teach my work around the world, which I'm very proud of and very happy. And I live by 2 credos, Glenn. Never get self-impressed. Never get self-impressed. Keep reaching and stay hungry. And that's how those are my mantras. The one thing I want to add, and I know I'm talking a lot, is that my book is really supported by the medical community. The man who wrote the foreword to it, Ange LeBeau, is a MD psychiatrist with years and years and years of experience. He has many degrees in medical areas, even pharmaceutical areas, but he's an MD psychiatrist who's practicing way up in Northern California near the Oregon border. And he studied with me, believe it or not, for 5 years, a number of years ago. He was interested in exploring acting as an avocational involvement. And so he studied with me for 5 years and really knows what I do and have used it. So he wrote the foreword, and it's a very explicit foreword. I have a psychiatrist and several PhD psychologists who have given me endorsements at the beginning of the book. So I'm very well supported by the medical community. So this book, it just isn't like a lark. People who've read it actually feel the efficacy of it and the value of it. So I'm very proud of that.
Eric, could we open up our panel? I want the panel to ask questions and share their experience being now you told me off the air, and I hope this is okay to say, that one of your most powerful experiences happened in your 80s, that as much as you evolved and challenged yourself and implemented things, but this happened, you could say, I'll call it midlife, because a different part of your life.
It's way past. Hey, Glenn, it's way past midlife.
I wanted to expand the longevity definition today.
Okay, great. Well, I'd love to live to 160. I got it, of course.
All right. I would like you to be around it too. I want to hang out with you in LA, obviously. All right, panel. I want you guys to ask, what sparks you, Gayle? What sparks you in the conversation? What sparks you? You've been a medical doctor. In my universe, you're the most innovative, loving, scientific. You're a doctor. What sparks you about having a second chance at life? What sparked you in Eric's intro? And by the way, I'm honored to introduce the both of you to each other.
Very
Dr. Gayle Randall, meet Eric Morris.
Hi, Dr. Gayle Randall.
Thank you so much. Well, I was just inspired by your book. Obviously, I'm a doctor and a healer, and a lot of what it seems to me, or what I've intuiting that your book is about, is a lot of maybe what I do. So I'm very anxious to read it, and I'd love to have you sign it and
wow,
get that information.
That.
But
wow.
So what inspired you to write this? I mean, did you have an awakening, or did someone
No. Well,
like
I guess
how did
the
it come to you? This method. How did this method come to you?
Oh,
was it you got a lightning-like flash, or was it a process?
No.
Through your wisdom of life. I mean, it could come a lot of ways. Like so.
No, it wasn't.
How did it come to you, and what? How did it come to you, and what inspired you to write?
Well, it wasn't like a Captain Marvel Shazam thing. It just wasn't that. I am an actor, and when I say I'm an actor, I've done about 50 or 60 equity professional plays. I've done about 100 films.
Your pedigree, goes before you. So we're very aware of your talent.
So I've done a lot of acting. Well, I actually how this all started was I was in a class with Martin Landau, who was my teacher. He was a devotee of Lee Strasberg, a member of the Actors Studio, and Marty got a role in Cleopatra with Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton, a major role. He was going to go to Europe and to Rome to do this, and he was going to be gone for a year. And I was in the middle of the stream learning technique for the first time in my life, where I could ask the question, how do you do that? And I was getting answers. After being 12 years a professional actor in stage and film, I still didn't know how. The word how was a big thing for me. And every my former teachers, I would ask how, they would come up with very, very basically general. Well, Eric, you remember that. You can re-experience it by thinking about it. Well, that's not a process. That's not a process that works. So with Marty, I began to learn the alphabet. I learned 6 or 7 letters, so to speak. Metaphorically, I had enough letters to spell words. I had a how, but the beginning of a how. Well, Marty went to Europe and left me in the middle of the stream, sitting on a horse, up to my navel in water. So I was really desperate, and so I couldn't go to New York. I was married to my first wife, and she was pregnant with our first child, and I didn't have any money, and so I was stymied about the whole thing. So one morning, in a great degree of depression, I was doing part-time work, I was doing telephone marketing, etc. I got a call from a student of Marty that I did scenes with in his class, and she said, "Well, Eric, have you found a teacher?" I said, "No, Ann, I haven't found a teacher. I'm going crazy. I'm looking around. There's nobody like Marty. They're all general. It's all cerebral. She said, "Well, why don't you start a class? I learned a lot from you in Marty's class. I learned almost as much from you as I did with him." I said, "Well, that's very flattering, but I'm not a teacher, Ann. I'm an actor." She said, "Well, couldn't you promote your own?" Well, it's true. That's what I said. She said,
"No. Dr. Randall made a line. She quoted Bones or the doctor.
My son over here.
Yeah. She just gave a line about. Anyway, go ahead, Eric. You just cracked this up because Gayle was imitating Bones from Star Trek, saying, "I'm a doctor. What? I'm a doctor. I'm not what? I'm a doctor. I'm not." What was the line?
God damn it, Jim! I'm a doctor, not an engineer. And what I say is, God damn it, I'm a healer, not a doctor. And I'm hearing you say, I'm an actor, not a writer.
Yeah.
So it's just cute. Sorry, but I love Martin.
So anyway, she said the magic word. She said you can continue growing by teaching a class. So I started with her and one other person, and then I got 3, and then I got 2, then I got 4, and I got 1. And I was putting out my own money to rent theater space, a space to teach a class. And over a 7-month period, I maybe got 5 or 6 people. Well, at that time, Kurt Conway, a very well-established Broadway actor who was blacklisted during the McCarthy era, who became a teacher because he couldn't work. He came out from New York to teach in California and hopefully deal with the blacklist. And Marty suggested that he was looking for somebody who would teach beginners because he just didn't want to teach beginners. So Marty recommended me. I was kind of the leader in that class, blah, blah, the most committed. And he visited a class I was teaching, Kurt Conway did, and he wrote me a note. He said, "I have to leave. Don't take it personally. I think you're a born teacher. I would be honored for you to work with me." That's how it all started. So I started to get a small class. I was working with him, and it built, and the rest is history. I have now been teaching like 60 years, and I've taught all over the world, all over the United States, and I have about 75 teachers teaching my work exclusively all over the world. So I feel that historically it just kind of snowballed into something very important. Now the question was, how did I come to write this book? Well, this book is just an extension of everything else I've been doing. It has actually several sections. The first section is how to identify and a damaging experience in your life and the technique for repairing the damage. It's a very specific technique. It has 2 or 3 approaches to it. I'll very briefly outline it for you. You go back and you pick out an experience and you recreate the experience as it was, as it happened, and then you go to changing the ingredients of the experience and the outcome. You do this repetitiously. You can do it audibly, or you can do it using imaging. Now, when I say the word imaging, I wrote a whole 300-page book on imaging called Acting, Imaging, and the Unconscious. Imaging is a process. It's a sensorial process that actually works. So by repeating the damaging experience and changing the ingredients of it and the outcome repeatedly, you start to influence and reprogram the unconscious memory banks that house that experience. Well, that's one technique.
Right.
So that's repairing the damage, and you can do it verbally, you can do it out loud, you can do it semi-audibly, you can do it using imaging, sensorially, etc. The second technique
Eric
is,
Oh, I just also want to. I know you're here. You're very here. You're incredibly here. By the way, your ability to powerfully say something and communicate it is still out of the universe. You still communicate. When you communicate, it still speaks to me so deeply. I want to introduce you to Dr. Gloria Kay. So this section of the network is called Mastering Miracles, because there are a lot of people that are very interested in miracles. And I was curious, since this is a segment I do with Dr. Gloria Kay. By the way, when you were driving, when we spoke 3 months ago and you were driving to Santa Barbara, I had just started to work with Dr. Gloria Kay. And she's 50 years. She's been helping people as a long distance. She's a PhD, but she helps people as a long distance or remote healer. So I felt like what you're saying about repairing damage, I wanted to get you be part of the conversation, Gloria, in terms of when people come to you for damage that's occurred in pain or disruption, what are your comments? And interesting that what Eric is saying, do you find to be true that people collect this damage and it shows up in pain or illness and all that? What's your take on what Eric's saying? And maybe share with Eric what you do, too. I want him to hear what you do as well as a healer.
Sure.
Great.
Well, yes, Eric, and hello. And yes, you are very articulate, and I really appreciated what you were saying. I believe we're almost on the same page. I personally get images when I'm working with someone, and I also, as Glenn said, I have a PhD in clinical psychology. I'm also a bit of a psychic, but I don't put myself out as a psychic. So I'm able to zero in on those damaging issues. And I very frequently get ages where the damage has occurred. So, for instance, I asked someone most recently what happened when she was 17, because she started to have paranormal experiences. She said she was date raped. Well, I have found that trauma, can induce these unwanted entities to be hovering and possibly be seductive. So what I do is to look, but primarily I work with physical pain. And whether it's a recent injury or something that's occurred over the years, my approach is very similar, and that is I like to address structural balance in the individual, and once that's attained or corrected to some degree, then I'm able to send healing energy to the area that is most affected. So that's basically what I do. So, yes, I do believe there are historical events that definitely influence the individual, and sometimes it's not necessary to delve deeply. If the issue is corrected, people sometimes just go on with their lives and be happy, particularly if it's not a chronic situation. If it's an acute situation, well, accidents happen and, life happens. So if I'm able to make those corrections, as I said, it's not necessary to delve deeply into what's going on with that individual. So that's my take on what I do.
Well, that's great. It sounds
awesome.
It sounds very active, productive, and successful. You say that's exciting. It's very exciting. It seems that your approach is a little bit more esoteric than mine, which is good. Which is good. The one thing I've learned evolving as a human being is that there are so many ways, so many different paths to discovering the truth and the result. So I do not have a closed mind to anything. I will if somebody comes up with something and explains it, and I look at it and I explore it, and I have an open mind to anything that comes across my path, because you never know when something fantastic, a miracle, will manifest itself right in front of you.
Well, I am in total agreement with that. Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
this is Lisa. I was just going to say, this is Lisa. Eric, I just want to give out your website really quick. It's Eric, ERIC, Morris.com. Yeah.
That's it.
And and your book is on the website. It's absolutely, I love the cover with the yellow brick road and, about repairing the damage.
It's significant. The yellow brick road is going to the wizard to change your life. You know, and incidentally, I designed that cover.
Oh, that's fabulous. You know, one of the things I'd like to ask you, if I may, you know, you work a lot, and what I see the greater message is all about, you know, bonding with each other and the connection that we all have. And I can see that in the work with the actors that that I know that you have worked with. So when you started to tune into that, was it a special place within your heart that you sort of felt a feeling or just a knowingness that sort of drew you to that, the importance of bonding and that life bonding we have with each other?
Well, you know, it was kind of an ongoing process of teaching 2 or 3 classes a week, working with people, discovering new techniques as I worked with them, and it was a processes that evolved over a period of 60 years, and I never sat down and thought, oh, I'm going to create a system. That never occurred to me. It just evolved by the work I was doing with people. Somebody would get up on the stage, and they would have a very significant instrumental block. They couldn't break through. They had emotion. They had an emotional block, something that was paralyzing them in terms of impression and expression. So I would look at them, and they would be doing a personal inventory. How do I feel? And not being very successful in expressing how they felt. So I said, why don't we try this? Let's do an abandonment exercise. And they say, well, what is that? I would say, okay, lay down on the ground and have don't make any contact with solid objects. Have a complete balls out, all out tantrum, yelling, moving your body, abandonment. And then I would say, get up there and then do a Vesuvius, which is a large expurgation of everything that you're sitting on, your anger, your rage, your confusion, etc. So the person would do that, and miraculously, it broke them through in the moment. So if one exercise worked for one person, I would try it on another person, and then it became a standard approach. That may be one of 5 or 6 or 700 exercises I've used in those 60 years. But that's how it evolved. It didn't evolve like by some kind of magic, unless you call discovery magic, I guess you can. But it was an evolutionary process. And if you say, well, what would you call yourself? I mean, would you call yourself a therapist? No. Would you call yourself a healer? No. My work is healing. My work is I mean, would you call yourself a spiritual force in the world? No. I don't think so. I think my work has spiritual side. So what do you call yourself? Well, I'm an actor, and I teach acting, and I direct. That's what I am. So, you know, I don't have any illusions or delusions about being some kind of guru. I think all of this evolved out of doing my work, and it works for everybody, and I'm very happy for that. At any time I can help somebody to take a step forward, break through, and make their life happier or make them more open and free as an actor, that's my job. That's what I do. That's what I love.
Wow.
I have a curiosity for you, Eric. We're going to take a brief break. You're listening to Dr. Gloria K. Dr. Gloria K. This is our Mastering Miracles with Eric Morris, Lisa LaRose, Dr. Gayle Randall, Glenn Brooks. Glenn Brooks is here. Stay with us. I'm gonna put Eric on the spot. Maybe Cherie on the spot. We'll see. And ask Eric a spontaneous question about the dog mystic. Let's see what happens. Stay with us. You're like
whatever
precious.
you ask me.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from New Thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are. Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 31 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people. Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Vibrant Living Network. I'm Glenn Brooks, Mastering Miracles with Dr. Gloria K., long-distance healer, remote healer. Dr. Gayle Randall, our regular in Symphony co-host. She's my inside healer and teacher. I'm honored to be working with you. I also want to set up a meeting with you and Eric, Gayle, so you can get that autographed copy and sit down with Eric. Cherie Marquez. I would love that, too. We're going to put that together because you're my two closest, deepest relatives on the planet, and you live in L.A. And all right, Here it is, Eric. We got a lady on the panel. Her name is Cherie Marquez, and she is the dog mystic. She's the dog mystic. She's the dog mystic. And so what I was curious about, without saying anything, I'm helping her give a public talk, almost like a TED Talk, if you will, at an event I'm putting together. And I thought to myself, I wonder what Eric, and Eric's a master of characters and expression of the character, the feel of the character. This character known as the dog mystic, I'm curious what you're curious about and what you want to ask Cherie Marquez, the dog mystic. As an open question. You want me to tell you more, or is that good enough?
You're talking to me, right?
Exactly. I'm attempting to talk to you. I'm attempting to ask you about one of our panel members. Her name is Cherie Marquez. She's been a dog mystic 18 years. Okay.
She's a dog mystic, and
correct.
You're asking me my response to that? Is that what you're
100%, yes.
Okay. Well, I've heard of horse whisperers, and dog mystic sounds to me like it's a similar thing where you communicate to dogs, and you somehow you get onto their wavelength, and you're able to communicate messages, commands, questions. Actually, bottom line, it's creating a relationship with a dog.
Yes.
A psychological, emotional, spiritual relationship with a dog. So yeah,
yes, she is.
Yeah, so that.
Well, I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, Cherie Marquez. Yeah, no,
yes.
So what's your question? What would be your first question if you could ask her one question? Because I think you're so in sync with you're in sync 100%. What's a question that would come to your mind to ask her based on your deep, immediate understanding of her work?
Well, the question is, I am probably one of the most process-oriented people in the world. The thing is that anybody that does anything, whether an architect, a lawyer, a doctor, a surgeon, a mystic, whatever you do, here is the test that the litmus test for anybody. How do you do what you do? How do you do what you do? Now, if you ask a person that's doing something, how do you do it, and they can't answer how they do it, well, maybe they don't know how they do it, or maybe, you know what I'm saying? So the first question that I would ask her, the dog whisperer, right? Is that? No.
Mystic.
Anyway.
So the dog mystic.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The dog mystic instead of the whisperer. I could be the female dog whisperer.
Okay, so how do you? My question would be, how do you go about it? How do you do it? That would be what I would ask. That would be the natural first question.
Well, I always go through the same process, and that's with all clients, and it's more or less just teaching them that dogs are creatures of habit, and I'm being a creature of habit just by doing teaching the same way. So dogs are creatures of habit, and they learn from repetition and consistency, and even if I always go through the introduction of how dogs learn, and they learn from repetition and consistency. Every single situation is different. When I go into a home, even if I want to sit down and go through the paperwork, if the dog is jumping up and trying to run out the door and barking and there's no way that you can sit down. You have to control the situation first. So it's teaching the problem-solving techniques to gain the control of the dog, and then teaching the owner exactly how dogs learn, and how they learn, and that the leash is your tool, and you're in control, and you're able to feed to them the calm, assertive energy, because they have, like we were speaking about before, they have a sixth sense, and they can pick up on every situation and everybody's energy of what's going on in either the household or in the environment.
So what I'm hearing from you is that you have developed an incredible sensitivity to what a dog feels, their sensitivities, their elevated sensorial abilities, and you tune into those elements with the animal, and you communicate to the animal, and you teach the people that hire you to how to communicate with the animal. Correct?
Correct. How to communicate with their animal and with their dog, and keep them as family, and keep them in their forever home, just so I'm creating happy dogs, which produce happy owners.
Well, okay, so going beyond the conventional dog training approach, people who go to dog training schools and they line up with their dogs and they have somebody lecturing them and teaching the dog to sit and just whatever. You go beyond that and you get into a particularly sensitive communication with the dog's energy, so that you're communicating also energetically with the animal, which is not just conventional dog training. Am I correct?
Correct. So I'm picking up on their energy and teaching the owners exactly what to look for. What to look for and how to differentiate, like, the different body, the body postures, the body language.
I used to do a thing with my dog. I had a wonderful dog years ago. I stopped having dogs because over the years they would die, and I just couldn't take the impact of losing a family member anymore. So I stopped having dogs.
Oh.
But, I would sit face to face with my dog in the sitting position and just do nothing but just look at each other and communicate. I had wonderful relationships with my dog.
Wow, that's just what Cherie teaches us to do.
Yeah,
gaze into the eyes of the dog.
They would get what I was feeling, and I would get what they were feeling, and we would bond in a very, very special way. I did that instinctively. Nobody taught me to do that. I just did it instinctively. So I'm really excited about what you do.
I want to say, Cherie, I think that what Eric said, he tuned into the heart of what you do, and I thought his articulation and questions and being in sync. If he was going to introduce you to TED Talk, you'd have thousands of people. That was profound. I love how he drove into your world and brought out, I think, the most powerful message. I've heard someone. I love what Eric had to say about you. Eric, can I ask you a spontaneous question right now?
Yeah.
I can.
You're asking
All right.
me a spontaneous
I'm asking you a spontaneous question, yes. Well, I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to with your permission. So I wanted to see if you wanted to experience Dr. Gloria Kay's work right now.
In what way would that be? Sure. I'm open.
Good question. Good. Oh, you're such a great. I love you, by the way. I got to tie you up later to talk to you about seeing my daughter. I can't wait to have that conversation. All right. Do you have any physical pain in any which way right now? Does anything bother you? Your knee? Anything? Because I want to see if Lori could work with you right now so you could have an experience. Does anything bother you right this second?
Yeah. Well, I have an ongoing issue with a sciatica on the right side of my back. Lower back.
Ooh.
I get up in the morning and it goes down my leg and it kind of paralyzes the leg. And once I get walking and doing a few exercises, it goes away. So that's the.
Is it okay with you, Gloria? Could Gloria work on it right now?
Sure, go.
Go, Gloria.
So, Eric,
Dr. Gloria Kay.
Hi there. Do you have any pain at the moment?
No. As you're speaking, I'm lifting my right leg up into my knee into my chest, and that alleviates any of the stress on my sciatica. I've learned how to exercise myself out of the pain and make it go away. So I've learned how to do that.
Well, that's
every morning
terrific.
when I get out of every morning when I get out of bed, it's there. It's there.
Okay. So we won't be able to do the litmus test on the air because I won't be with you tomorrow morning. But we can do a follow-up. So I'll tell you what I'm seeing. I'm seeing an area around the size of $50 that's pretty intense, and it's been damaged, and at the same time, a lot of healing has occurred. So even
what
has
occurred? What has occurred? I missed that.
A lot of healing in that area. Taking care of it.
Okay.
So, again, we can follow up, see how you are tomorrow morning. But right now, I'm zeroing in on this area that I'm seeing. It has kind of a grayish area, and I'm just directing energy right there. I don't always go to the main area of the stress, but I'll stay there just for a moment. And now I'm going to go to your left waist. The left waist in the back, I see a connection between his sciatic situation and what's going on the left side. So not to be alarmed. I don't like to say to people what I'm seeing unless I'm pretty sure I can correct it. But a lot of times there's a connection between the left and the right, and particularly a transverse effect. So we have a diagonal here, and I'm just going to zoom back and forth, that diagonal from the waist down to that sciatic area. I see the grayness changing. It's becoming lighter. Let me ask you this. Do you ever have sensitivity to the touch?
Sometimes when it's hurting me and I put my fingers on the back there, it is very sensitive. Yes. Yes.
Do you want to? Could you just poke around there right now and tell me how you're feeling?
Touch my back.
Yes, please.
Put my yes. Well, right now I'm pretty clear of any pain or tension back there. I feel pretty good. I'm not experiencing what I call a sciatica attack right now. I feel okay, actually. Sometimes when I get up too quickly, I get a little shooting pain in the back in the sciatic area.
Now, can you get up quickly and tell me if that's present?
Okay, I'm going to stand up. I'm sitting on my sofa. No, nothing is there. It feels good. I feel
all right. We love
feel
that.
good.
Okay.
No, I feel good. I'm walking. I'm in my living room and I'm walking around and I feel pretty free. I feel pretty open and no pain. No pain.
I love it. I love it. So let me just explain what I was doing. I was addressing your situation using that transverse effect and, you know, how I knew to go to your left waist. It's just an intuitive thing. And right now I'm going to go from the sciatic point down the back of your leg to your heels to give it a little added energy. And my hope is that tomorrow morning when you wake up, you are significantly better. So that's basically what I do.
I would love
very
that.
Quickly.
I would just love that. Thank you. Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
So
Thank
I
you.
hope we can stay in touch and follow up on that.
Where are you located?
I'm in Santa Barbara.
Well, I'm not too far from you. I'm in L.A. Yeah, right.
Oh.
And I like Santa Barbara. Yeah, we go there occasionally to the Biltmore. You know, we spend like a weekend in the Biltmore a couple of times a year. You know.
Well, let's make
You've
sure we
been there,
get
right?
together. And, you know, Fiesta
Yeah.
is coming up. I don't know if that's of any interest to you, but it's, you know, the whole town closes. Banks close on Friday. It's almost like Mardi Gras.
What is coming up? Say it again. What is coming up again?
Fiesta, Old Spanish Days.
Oh yeah, Siesta, right. Right.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's a big event here.
Yeah. Santa Barbara is very legendarily historical. I love Santa Barbara.
Yes. So do
I'll see if I can keep the connection going.
Okay. Beautiful.
I'll see if I can foster the connection.
Okay.
Eric, and thank you, Gloria. Eric, give out the book title and how people could order the book. Then I want to go on the panel, and of course I'm going to make the connection with you and Gayle because I want you guys to have lunch together. Please go ahead and give out how can people get a copy of your newest book?
Well, I have a distributor. I've been in publishing for 25 years. I have a distributor, but they can get it directly at Amazon.com. The title of the book is A Second Chance at Life. And they can get it at Amazon.com overnight. You know, at the longest period of time, 2 days. Amazon is absolutely incredible. I order something one day, and the next day it's by my mailbox, or you know. And they can order through Amazon. They can. I have a distributor, but it's in the bookstores too. I don't know what bookstores, Borders. A lot of different bookstores, but if you want to get it very quickly, Amazon.com.
Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to shop at our independent bookstore here and request a copy, and if they don't have it, I'm going to ask them to order it. And
they can order it. My distributor is SCB. S like in Sam, C like in candy, B like in boy. SCB. Okay. Distributors, and they're in Gardena, California. They handle all 9 of my books. So all your bookstore has to do is go on the computer, log on to SCB Distributors, and it lists all my books with all of the ordering information, and they can get it any of them through the distributor.
Who's your publisher, Eric?
Say again?
Who's your publisher?
I'm my publisher.
Of course you are.
I have.
Thank you.
Give me 30 seconds to explain that. I was
published
by originally I was published by the largest publishers in the business. Putnam was one of my GP Putnam published me for years. Quick Fox was a backlist publisher. I was published through New York for years. You know what happened about 25 years ago? they started taking my titles out of circulation because they were crunching the numbers. How many books did we sell this month? Well, not enough to justify. So they would take my titles out of, print. And my student would come up to me and say, well, I went to the bookstore and they said that Being and Doing was no longer in print. And I freaked out. So I called Putnam, who actually only had a contract with me to publish my books. They didn't own the books. Do you know what I mean? I've always retained ownership, but they had a contract to distribute them. So I said, I want you to return my my books to me, the ability to distribute them and myself. And this woman said, well, what do you intend to do with them? I said, to publish them on my own. And I started Airmore. I started Airmore Enterprises. I had a wonderful distributor, Samuel French to begin with. They went out of business. I got another distributor, SCB, who I've been with 25 years. So my publishing company is called Airmore Enterprises, and I'm the publisher, and I have total control of every copy that's printed. So nobody can take my titles out of it.
Good way to deal with it. Good job. Awesome.
Well, but when you say I publish my book, it sounds like a vanity press, and it's not.
No, I don't get it. I don't see it that way. Actually, you made it more available for all the people, which is serving the public. So thank you for that.
Yeah, but it's very important to be able to have control of your own work, And so I don't publish anybody else's books, so I'm actually only my books. But I've written 9, and they're all in circulation. And I'm not going to let anybody take them out, no matter how many they sell.
Right.
Do you know what makes a bestseller in a backlist category? If you sell 10,000 books in one title, that is considered a backlist bestseller. I have sold over 50,000 no acting pleas in the last, 20 years. Over 50,000. That's 5 times a bestseller in a backlist category.
Wow! Congratulations.
So when
Eric, give out your website.
My website?
Eric give out your website, because I want to look at your website. EricMorris.com.
Yeah.
I need to call you later, Eric. Go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry.
The pictures of all my books are on the website.
Let's do this. Let's go around. I want Gayle, give out the Randall Health Center. Lisa, Cherie, let's everybody give out your website. I'm going to send a copy of this to Eric. We're going to get Eric on again, because Eric, we're going to do a regular format, Eric. I know in my heart we're supposed to do something regularly, so we're going to do it. It's going to happen. Okay. And I'd love you to have a proper dinner with Dr. Gayle. She's been one of the most influential people in my life, Eric, and so are you. So I want you two to get together, and certainly I want to keep the connection with you and Dr. Gloria going. Go on, give out your websites, please. The whole gang.
DR like doctor, G like God, M like mother, Randall.com, drgmrandall.com, or Instagram, Dr. Gayle Randall, or Facebook, Dr. Gayle, one word, space Randall. Thanks.
Gloria.
And I'm Dr. Gloria K. G.R. Gloria Kaye. Don't forget the E.com. That's my website.
Cherie?
And smartpawsdogtraining.com. Smartpawsdogtraining.com.
When the tape comes out, I want listen, Dog Mystic. When the tape comes out, I want you to listen what Eric had to say to you. How he said it. It was so right on. It was so he went right to the heart of the matter. He could introduce you at the TED Talk. It was very good. Lisa, you want to give out your website today?
Thank you. Sure. It's onewisdom.org. It's onewisdom.org. Thank you so much. And thank you all for so many wonderful insights. And
I enjoyed meeting all you people. It was a pleasure,
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric, for your feedback.
I
want to know how you feel in the morning, Gloria. So, you'll have to let us know.
Are you going to report back, Eric, about how you're feeling in the morning?
If you want me to.
I would love you to report back. And by the way, I gave Eric 3 seconds to come on today, and he said yes. Thank you, Eric.
Oh,
yeah. Well,
thank you. And by the way, Gloria, my foot is better. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Oh, great.
Oh, how wonderful.
I have something to
and
say.
my orthopedic surgeon canceled my appointment. He won't be back for 2 weeks. And I went, yay, I'll be done by then, you know?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Eric. We got a minute to go, Eric. Go ahead. What do you want to say? Go ahead, Eric.
Something to say. Yeah, just this one statement I want to say about you, about Glenn. You are a master facilitator. You are a master facilitator. You know, it's bringing people together is one thing. The mastery of what you do after you bring us together, that is a great talent. Facilitating each person to be the best they can be in a period of an interview or an hour show. That is a great talent. You are a master facilitator.
Eric, it means so much to my heart. Thank you, Eric. Thank you. Thank you. It means a lot to me. Thank you. Your life is precious. Enjoy it. I'm Glenn Brooks. We'll be with you next time here on the Vibrant Living Network. I deeply appreciate all of you in the program today. Thank you, guys, deeply.
Have a wonderful weekend.
Everybody. Bye.